Hello and welcome. I'm the architect. And in this explainer, we're not here to judge. We're here to analyze the design. We're going to take a look at the hidden blueprints of human behavior. And today, we are deconstructing one of the most common impulses we all have, that constant need to form an opinion. You know, in the Netherlands, there's this fantastic phrase that just perfectly captures this habit. Daar, iets van. It literally means, I have an opinion about that. But it's so much more than a saying, isn't it? It's like a collective mantra for that knee-jerk reaction we have to instantly judge something, especially when we don't quite get it. But what's really going on when we say that? What's the hidden architecture behind that simple little sentence? Well, that's the mystery we're going to unravel today. We're going to pull this whole thing apart and see what it reveals about how we're wired. Now, I want to be really clear. My role here as the architect isn't to say if this is right or wrong. We are not interested in moral judgment. Nope. We're here to look at the structure, the systems, the way the energy flows. This is all about pure, unfiltered curiosity. So let's get into the analysis. So to kick off our analysis, we're going to look at this whole phenomenon through 4 totally different lenses. Just think of them as 4 different architectural drawings, where each one reveals a completely different layer of the construction. All right, our first lens comes from the world of neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. It's basically the study of how our thoughts, our language, and our behavior are all connected. And from an NLP perspective, that phrase, I have an opinion about that, is a linguistic trick we play on ourselves to create distance. See, a huge idea in NLP is that the map is not the territory. Your internal reaction, your opinion, that's your map. But the actual event out there in the world, that's the territory. Saying I have an opinion is a classic case of confusing the map for the territory. We're basically projecting our own internal stuff and presenting it like it's some kind of objective fact. Our second lens is a concept called the interface, which is drawn from the work of M.L. Kersey. The easiest way to think about the interface is as the connection point between you and the rest of the world. It's the system that's supposed to receive and process all the data coming in. So here's the key. When your interface is working the way it's supposed to, it gets a signal, it processes it, and it turns it into some kind of insight. But when you jump straight to an opinion, the whole system just malfunctions. It skips that super important processing step and goes right to projection. You're not actually analyzing the world, you're just projecting your own internal baggage onto the world and calling it an opinion. Okay, lens number 3 is the coherent Nexus model. This is a framework that looks at everything from an energetic perspective. It's all about the connection between your mind, your heart, and your environment, and how energy is flowing or not flowing between them. And right here, we can see the energetic cost of all this. See, pure observation is coherent. The energy just flows. But judgment? That's chaotic. It is quite literally an energy leak. That constant need to have an opinion is exhausting because you're basically fighting with reality instead of just observing it. And that creates incoherence through your entire system. Okay, so we've looked at how this whole mechanism works. Now we're going to pivot and ask why. What are the deeper systemic reasons, those fundamental human needs that are driving this behavior in the first place? Systemically, it really just boils down to 3 core drivers. First, there's that primal, deep-seated need to belong to a tribe. Second, there's this desire to position ourselves as somehow morally superior. And third, and this is a big one, it's a powerful impulse to cover up our own feelings of powerlessness in what can feel like a really complex and scary world. Just think about it for a second. When we form a really strong negative opinion about someone or something, we're basically casting them in the role of the perpetrator. And by doing that, we automatically get to claim the safe, morally superior high ground of being the victim, or, the righteous observer. It's a quick and dirty way to feel good about ourselves by pushing someone else out. But here's the catch, and this is a fundamental law of systems. Everything you exclude, everything you judge and try to push away, it doesn't just vanish. It actually gets stronger. It insists on being seen. So judgment doesn't solve the problem at all. It often just makes the very thing we're condemning even more powerful. So if that's the flawed design, how do we redesign the system? How do we move from this reactive, energy-draining pattern to a state of conscious mastery? Well, let's take a look at the blueprint for becoming what we could call the super version of ourselves. Here is 4 steps. First, you've got to stop the autopilot.
The second you feel that opinion bubbling up, just pause and ask yourself, wait, what is actually happening inside of me right now? Second, clean your interface. Separate the raw data, what actually happened, from the story you're telling yourself about it. Third, restore your nexus. Feel that tension of judgment and then consciously shift into acceptance. And fourth, take your systemic place. Realize you're a part of the whole system, not standing outside of it as its judge.
And here's a really powerful tool you can use for this whole process. It's this mantra. It is as it is. I agree with reality, even if I don't understand it. Now, saying this doesn't mean you approve of something bad. It just means you stop wasting all your energy fighting with what is already here. It instantly restores coherence to your system. So, the ultimate goal of this entire architectural redesign is to make a really fundamental shift in our way of being, to move away from constant judgment and toward clear-eyed observation.
When you strip it all down, the final analysis is this. That simple little phrase, I have an opinion about that, is, at its core, a defense mechanism. It's the ego's attempt to create a little bubble of order and control in a world that is vast, chaotic, and often overwhelmingly complex.
And this right here is the end goal. The super version doesn't need that defense anymore. They can stand right in the middle of the chaos with a totally open mind and an open heart and just ask one simple question. Okay, I see what is, so what is my next coherent step? It's a huge shift from reaction to powerful, conscious action. So I'll leave you with the blueprint and a question to kickstart your own redesign. Just look at your own life, your own thoughts. What is one judgment, one automatic opinion that you're willing to let go of, starting today?